Hello and welcome to Off My Shelves, and in this episode we are going to be looking at Cormac McCarthy's The Road, the adaptation by Manu Larcenet, and let's get underway. So this book was a recommendation by some subscribers, wonderful subscribers. If they recommended it, then I'll give it a chance. I went on a trip to London and read the whole thing in about 2 hours on the bus. It's published by Abraham's Comic Arts. It is sewn binding and it is hardback with a dust jacket. Wonderful kind of thick pages on the inside. Colour throughout, but a really unique colour palette, which I get to in a minute. But yeah, a really well-made book, to be fair. And I generally do try to look into all the recommendations I get from subscribers on the channel. But sometimes I have to limit myself as to what I buy. But then I saw this, and I don't think, I might be wrong, but I don't think I even looked at the pages massively, because it was such a cheap book. It was only about, I think, £12 or £13 I paid for it. I thought, well, if these subscribers that are always pretty on point with their recommendations and the things they say. The Road is a famous story by Cormac McCarthy. It's this dystopian nightmare apocalyptic future following a father and son and their journey through this American landscape that is just devastated. You don't quite know why it's devastated. There are these tales and mysterious kind of nods to fires. You're not even sure how long ago the incident happened, but you certainly are jumping into this world fully formed. It's desolate, but there are remains of what used to be. And so it really follows this father and son trying to get to a certain point in the country where they believe they might, get past the dangers and have some semblance of normality. And as you go through, you find out more and more about their personalities, about who they are, about what they've been through. Every iteration of The Road is so full with, really tight thriller kind of qualities and danger, and it almost kind of borders on horror in many ways. I think, even though there's no monsters and stuff, I would certainly say the story is horrific in many ways, but I don't think it's classified as horror, but it's certainly horrific to me anyway. I will flip right to the back though and refer to a letter that the author sent to Cormac McCarthy to ask for his permission to adapt this graphic novel from The Road. And he makes this wonderful case of asking to draw The Road, and he says, I'm not going to rewrite a thing or change the feel of the story. I have no other ambitions but to draw your words. The magical part of being an illustrator is to find a silent line to draw with every word. These lines can support yours without distorting them. At least that's the goal of this project if it comes to fruition. It does come to fruition, and this is an exceptionally talented and confident adaptation of The Road. It creates a world that is instantly intimidating and puts you on edge, and you're not quite sure where it's going to go, even if you are familiar with Cormac McCarthy's The Road. Because it's an adaptation, you know that there might be changes and they might mix up the pacing or this or that, but it doesn't. It's quite true to the original story. But what it does wonderfully is it takes the words of Cormac McCarthy and it paints them without words. It creates that world that Cormac McCarthy creates with words and creates it with pictures. So on the opening pages are all silent, but they are so full of dense atmosphere and personality, and you just get a feel for the world instantly. And that is the mark of a seriously talented kind of artist and writer, I think, is the fact that he was able to instantly inject you into this world. I mean, the opening pages, straight off the bat that you're in a world that's scary, that's apocalyptic, and the father in the opening pages is watching over his son sleeping. And that's really the heart of the whole story, is the father being on edge, trying to protect his son, and that son being able to sleep, having that naive of innocence, at least on some levels, and him trying to protect that. And yeah, the book is astounding, I think, artistically. It is far more visual than textual, without a shadow of a doubt. It really does use some amazing art techniques and some amazing artwork to really put you into that world. And keep you on edge as well. Every time you turn the page, you're not too sure what's going to transpire. You're not too sure who they're going to meet, whether it's going to be a good meeting, a bad meeting. Are there any types of meetings that are either, really? Is everyone got the ability to turn on you in a moment, to take your belongings and take what you own? But equally, those opening pages are just fantastic, I think, and such a strong visual kind of interpretation of Cormac McCarthy's work. The rain, the weather, the ash falling from the sky, and these little hints of the story being dripped in. There's far more hints to what's happening in the world visually than there is written, which is as it should be in a graphic novel interpretation. You get far more idea of what's happened to the world by looking at the artwork than you do in the words that they are talking to each other, which is perfect. There's no narration at all. Any speech that you hear is talked out loud by the characters themselves. And yeah, it is absolutely phenomenal. The emaciated looks and the design of the characters is fantastic as well. All the characters, even though they're all kind of skinny and emaciated and really gaunt, they've all got that unique quality to them, so you never kind of get confused visually to who's who. And stylistic choices of, visualising these gangs of people that are wandering the country, taking people. They're all done so well. And again, these big lumps of accumulated ash and waste slammed into every orifice of the streets and things like that, and them just walking through. But you never ever know what's behind any of them corners, and you feel that in every page, I think. It's really tight on every level. What's amazingly powerful is that relationship between father and son. It comes across so strong, and what the father's lost and what he's willing to lose and do anything for his son's survival is amazing. But the son's care for the father as well, how much the son wants to do exactly for the father what the father's doing for him, so they both survive and both kind of thrive. That jaded quality of the father and not trusting everyone and kind of being a bit intimidated by the world is warranted, but equally it's balanced by his son's total love of humanity and faith in humanity. He hasn't lost his faith in humanity, and his son is really that strong sense of humanity in the book. He's always that voice that comes in to question his father's actions or actions of other people's with just straightforward, simple humanity. And they are fabulous characters. Their relationship, the love and care they have for each other. When they go through all these tumultuous times, you feel it even more because you actually genuinely care about what happens to them and where they go. Then the bad guys in the story, these wandering gangs of people that are out to cause them harm and cannibals wandering the place. It is amazing how terrifying they are depicted and how you genuinely feel that palpable tension whenever they come across them. The colour palette even changes slightly when these antagonistic other people come onto the show and onto the scene. The colour palette, it deserves mention as well, because it finds a way of making the world colourful, but equally making it quite apocalyptic and quite muted and worn down and rusty. But then one of the things I love is now and again they'll find like food or find some sort of something like a Coke can or something, and that will have an extra bit of colour and an extra bit of light to it, showing that it is this kind of, island in all of this madness. And I loved that. I thought that was a really good touch. I think purposefully keeping the antagonists quiet and always in the background, always kind of pursuing them and always coming across them randomly is a great touch as well. They never really get a personality individually. The whole of them have kind of this mass of people that are just out to destroy and pick the bones of humanity, and they're, great antagonists in the story, but very much silent, muted antagonists. As soon as I finished it, I wanted to jump back into it again, just to look through the artwork and just to see that amazing beauty that's portrayed by the father and son relationship, and the son in particular, his attitude towards helping out another person and giving them food even though he's got nothing. That mirrored and juxtaposed with people, actively keeping people alive to eat their body parts slowly, and, really the most horrendous things of humanity. juxtaposed with the beauty of humanity, and that's what makes this whole work really something special, because it challenges you to look at both ends and to realise that both exist in that same world. And yeah, it's wonderful. I absolutely love this. It's a fantastic recommendation. It doesn't pull any punches. You know, there are some really graphic images of people being, eaten, being burnt, being, imprisoned and, farmed, essentially. It really doesn't pull any punches in visualising Cormac McCarthy's work, much more so than the movie. This, delves even deeper, I think, because some of the imagery, there's one or two panels, you're like, Jesus, really bad. But again, they work in this world. They work in this world that Cormac McCarthy has outlined. Heartbreaking and life-affirming, everything you want from a book, really. It's well worth a read, and the artist deserves all the praise that they get, because honestly, it is fantastic. Thanks for the recommendation, and I will catch you on the next one.